Welcome to the Big Roofs podcast, the podcast where we talk to successful roofing contractors and industry leaders about how you can build a bigger, better, more profitable roofing business. We're your hosts, John and AJ, and today's guest is Nick Peret, founder of Better Boss and the former founder of Peak Leads. Thanks for joining us today, Nick.
Thank you, gentlemen. It is an absolute pleasure. Excited to be here.
Hell yeah. This is super fun because we were on your podcast when you were the host of the Start Build Grow show. What was that? 2 years ago? Two and a
That
half?
was a while back because that was early stages of ProLine,
Yeah.
right? Like I
You're
don't
still
think it
power
really. Yeah, exactly. Right. So I don't think it was really even to the scale or vision that you guys have accomplished today.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
we were
was
we were
really,
in like we were at some conference, either the IRE or some whatever conference that was, and we had to like go up to the hotel room and record to like during the show, right? That's what we did. Is that
yeah,
what
it
we?
was in the hotel room.
That's pretty funny.
Classic,
John,
right? Being
John
at a
and I were
roofing
like,
conference.
yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
that's right. We got into hotel room and we like shot the show with you because we're like, oh, this is live. We have to actually go somewhere where it's quiet.
Yeah, right. Quick question too. As a tech nerd, how did that transition go? How did you guys go from the original features and vision to we're going full out?
Well, I don't want to hijack your
Yeah, that's
podcast
true.
episode, but I'll give you the quick rundown. So the
Yeah.
quick rundown is we started out as the automation platform that we were when
Yep.
we talked to you, automation and communication, and the goal was to integrate that with all the existing CRM platforms instead of reinventing the wheel. We just thought that would be the best approach, and that did work. There was a ton of pain points. It really wasn't scalable, and we couldn't deliver to our customers what they really wanted as far as automation and communication went because of the limitations with the APIs of the existing CRM
Hmm.
platforms. And there's just a massive amount of data that is required in order to properly communicate in an automated way. And you have to have so much context, so much data has to get pulled in. And so we just were not able to get that through the APIs of these of this
Hmm.
existing CRMs.
Yeah.
And none of the existing CRMs were solving the communication problem and the automation problem correctly. And so we came to the conclusion beginning of last year, oh, we have to build the whole thing. That's the only way that we can fulfill the vision of what we want to see as far as
Yeah.
the automation communication being properly handled, and as much as possible. In order to do that, we have to have the whole pie kind of covered, and then it's natively integrated. We can have that data flow very seamlessly between the communication side and the CRM side. And so embarked on that beginning of last year and launched last August. And yeah, it's just been up and to the right since
Epic.
then. So
Epic. Congrats, gents.
yeah, thanks. Yeah, so you're currently with founder of Better Boss. I really want to get
Better
to that.
boss.
And then, but
Hmm.
I think I haven't talked to you since you sold Peak Leads.
I
So
disappeared.
congratulations.
I disappeared, man. I went on a sabbatical, right? I disappeared and was sharpening the saw. It's the same thing as you said before. You guys identified a problem that was in the space, and you guys went out and tried to fix it. So when I was generating leads for clients, right, we focused specifically on commercial roofing. I felt
Yeah.
like the leads was even the biggest issue. It was the operations of the company, right? Just
Mhm.
like from bid to billing processes, how would they went about their estimating, how they went about their client management, communication, tasks, all these different things. And I've been in software for 10 years. And when I was selling software, I know it's the majority of our clients who were contractors never even set up the software, right? They were sold the dream, but then it realized the work that it takes to achieve the dream,
Yeah.
right? The software is just the really cool tool or support system of these strategies, right? So you have to really refine your processes and then use that technology to support that for a scalable strategy. And so for me, I knew that was the biggest issue, and that's what I wanted to tackle next. And so for me, I just didn't have a whole lot of hands-on experience, right? So I wanted to be the best in terms of customizing these solutions, because I think to maximize these softwares, you have to customize them to your operations and your company. Otherwise, what happens is you're customizing your processes to the software, right? So that was my goal. And so I spent a lot of time on the computer learning, taking on a few clients at a time. And now that I'm ready to go, I'm ready to get back in the roofing space a little bit.
I love it.
Nice.
I love it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
We see a lot of the same issues. The lot like there's
yeah.
we say this being a dead horse, but there's no silver bullet. There's no piece of equipment. There's no piece of software. There's no truck. There's no equipter that's going to just make your business be amazing. So yeah, we're identifying very similar issues with our customers and clients as well.
How do you guys handle that? Just out of curiosity, because I think for me, sometimes I struggle to communicate that with the client because they want it done right away, right? And there is a process to it. They want that magic bullet. But do you guys kind of explain that where it's like, hey, it's going to take time. You guys had to put in the work, the energy up front to make sure that this actually is getting maximized to its full capabilities?
Yeah, it's so hard. It's so hard. We actually just transitioned. We were for a minute selling not an expensive, pretty substantial paid services to implement our own software. And what the conclusion that we came to is it caused more issues than it solved, because we would get our customers would become very reliant on us for making any changes. And
Change
ProLine's a
management.
highly customizable software for that same reason. I'm right there, that same vision of like, you have to be able to customize the software to the business, not the business of the software. And so we've invested a lot in making it customizable, but that
Which I love, by the way.
yeah, it's essential, but that customizability also means there's a higher complexity by the nature of being customizable. And so we were ending up with a lot of users that were highly reliant on us and our support, even after they their paid onboarding was long over, to make any kind of change to the software. So we've switched now, actually, just in the last since the beginning of the year, where we stopped we stopped doing paid services. We now really heavily invest in our training and our onboarding guides and documentation. So we're just putting tons of energy into that. And then part of our onboarding process is introducing our users to third parties who we recommend to do software implementation. And I don't know if there's synergies there with what you're doing with
I
Better
think there
Boss.
might be, man. I think there
Yeah.
might be, because I think what you guys are doing, I think there's a lot of opportunity to really shake things up in the roofing space with what you guys are doing, for sure. All right. I mean, because now I've been working in a variety of trades: demolition, HVAC, plumbing, you can kind of name it, because I wanted to see fundamentally what was different, how these companies operate and whatnot, and the softwares. Just as a software nerd, I was curious at what industries are rocking the best softwares. And after spending some time in some other spaces, I'm like, man, there's some opportunities for some new roofing softwares to shake things up, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, we're trying to be that. We're investing really heavily in and just making things even more customizable and expanding out the feature set that we have. We're walking that line between getting bloated and adding just random features, and then doubling down on the features that we have. But that's all just a product conversation. But
I mean, the customization, though, like I said, though, is so key, because always what happens is every single tool is going to have like 80 or 90% of the things that you want. But then that other 10 to 20%, you're stuck to just adjusting and just dealing with it. Right. So the more customization, the better, because now it's just like, hey, you're perfecting that thing to suit your business and with that vision of scale in mind. So if you don't have the customization, if it works now, it might not work in the future as you grow too, because you don't want to keep switching these softwares, because everybody knows who switch softwares. It is a pain that you know what. It is a process, right? And then people don't adopt it, or some people are still using the old system, right? There's so many different messes. So if you do it, you want to do it right. You want to have a plan and you want to execute that plan, and then boom, you're off and running. But some people just don't take it seriously enough, I think. And I think that's the biggest issues. And that's why they're on their fifth, sixth, seventh CRM, right? And sometimes the best CRM is the one that you use. So having a customizable tool, right? Like what you guys are doing now, and making sure you're executing that right, could be a drastic impact on the business.
Yeah. 100%.
Totally agree. And also, everyone wants simple. And like we want it to be simple too, after it's customized to that customer.
Yes.
Like, from my perspective, what I hear with other contractors who call and message me, and I just had a conversation a couple of days ago that they had gone back and forth to different two major CRMs in the roofing space. And they went back and forth and back. And it's like, okay, well, let's talk about like the problems. Let's talk about what are the issues with the company. And it's not, they have several sales reps, and they do retail, they do insurance, they primarily do insurance. And so it's like, we're not going to solve your problem magically. Like, it's just not going to like, you have to commit to, the whole team has to use this. And if you're already having that issue, it's going to be a leadership issue. You can't just say, okay, here's the magic software, it's going to fix it. And
Mm-hmm.
I hear is, you should, if I'm giving you, this is what I hear so much with guys, I'm paying you monthly for this service, I should get like free customization. It should all be set up for me out of the box. Like, that's not realistic. And we're not a roofing company. We're not a, HVAC company. We are a business first, and the software is just part of that business. You really have to
Mm-hmm.
understand that. If you don't buy into that part, it's just not going to work out. Like, you've got to understand that your business first. You use the software. Your team has to all use it together, and that's the ultimate thing. It's a mindset and a mind shift for most people that are getting into, when we talk about roofing. Just like, I was in sales or I was in production, and I'm just going to sell roofs and build roofs. So it's so much more complex than that. You need to understand. Start writing. I have so many of these like black little notebooks. I have like a million of these. Just write your processes down and see how long that takes. And if it should take longer than you think. And that's how
Mm-hmm.
you'll be able to use the foundation of your processes and customize with your software. I mean, I hear it so much. It's just like, it's a beating a dead horse in my mind right now.
Well, contractors have to be honest with themselves, right? So you're looking for a solution for your operations, right? You're not technically looking for a technology solution, right? But the technology is going to support that. So your true issue is that you grew, right? You were having success, but now running and gunning doesn't work anymore. Now you have employees, you have more customers, more projects, more responsibilities. So you have to streamline all these different operations, right? So sales, accounts receivable, accounts payable, right? Making sure you have stuff for the field and the crew for where there's clocking in, stuff like that. So you have to refine all those different departments, right? And think about it, if you've been in business for this long and you still haven't accomplished that, chances are it is somewhat of a difficult process to build or refine those current processes prior to implementing this stuff. Because I mean, I'll be integrating QuickBooks to some kind of tool, right? And all of a sudden I'm sitting there and I'm building out cost codes because they didn't have cost codes, or I'm building out their line items, right? There's certain things that go so much deeper into properly doing this stuff the right way. But if you can really look at yourself and be honest and understand that process, you will be so happy when you're done. I had a client of mine, it's a demolition company out in Hermosa Beach. And man, it was one of my good buddies, actually, good buddy I used to work with. And for 3 years, he called me just stressed, how it is, fire drill, right? Fire drill after fire drill after fire drill. After we got done with the implementation, he called me. He's like, man, this is going to solve majority of our problems as a company, right? And the team wasn't on board. People were telling me if we switch systems, we're going to quit, right? And now they're saying, hey, this is effing awesome at the end, right? So if you can go through that process and then almost more importantly, really get the buy-in adoption of the team, right? And have them take ownership of their responsibilities and feel like they're part of this decision, oh, you're gonna be off and running.
Yeah.
Because think about it, guys. I mean, what's the biggest issues? Organization, communication for contractors, right? If you can really use these tools and blow away your clients and just become just efficient and just repeatable with your processes and know what to expect on every job, it's game over.
It's
Yeah.
totally true. The expectation for both our end customer, if we're dealing whatever that customer is very high now, way higher
Very
than even
high.
just a few years ago. So the homeowners, whatever the customer is, has a really high expectation for communication specifically, and just like the customer experience. But then also the people that we're employing and working with on our team, they also have a high expectation for like
Mm-hmm.
understanding the checklist. We talk about processes and systems. Like, what do I do next? What's the checklist? What's the next thing? Are there automated tasks? Do I understand what to do at the next stage in the process? Like, the team expects a lot from the business to provide that for them. That's why you have better, people are going to stay with you a long time if you have those things set up. So the team, whatever team you work with, and then your customers both have way higher expectations. And if you're a contractor, you're banging your head and you're not improving these two things, like it's the customer experience and then the systems. This is the reason why. Like both of those groups of people have really high expectations now, and you better provide them. You better keep working on them all the time. We're like, I feel like I constantly do it. So yeah,
I'm glad you mentioned too the internal, so hiring your team and the expectations of the team, because now you're looking at a millennial. I'm a millennial, and our expectations are different. We want culture, we want processes, we want opportunity, we want our right. There's all these different things that we want, and if I'm not gonna go work at an out-of-date contracting company, there's no way. So if you want like the best upcoming talent, right, who is probably also advanced in technology, right, so making sure you're not falling way behind, you're going to want to make sure that you're up to date with that kind of stuff. And also too, I've had people mention, just this idea of what's going on now with people almost kind of like building these franchise type models of contracting companies, right? These big corporations kind of coming together. They're going to have operations now, and they're definitely going to be a threat, right? So they're going to be operating well and efficient. So you need to make sure you're matching that.
Yeah. The competition is a challenge. I mean, it's you can't afford a lot of efficiency if you're going to compete in the market today. How things are laid out. So
yeah.
Let's just go over Better Boss and what it is that you're doing now. I would love to get caught up on that and
absolutely, man. Absolutely, man. So, at first I was just going to be looking at, CRM implementations and stuff like that. But after you kind of get your hands in dirty with the client, right, you start working on something, there's another 10 challenges that arise, right? So what we do is we offer fractional monthly CTO services, so chief technology officers. So basically, I meet with them. We do a discovery session. We usually about to spend a month together, meeting with all their departments and putting a plan together, right? From there, we put a roadmap that goes through sales and estimating, job financing, client communication, vendor and subcontractor communication. You kind of name it, and we go through those different phases and build it out together, right? So we build out the strategy and then support it with technology.
Yeah. Oh, that's so valuable. It's so valuable. And
I'm having a lot of fun with it.
I've abused AJ for a long time. I've abused AJ before he was building ProLine. So, well, we worked well together. Yeah. So
I can tell you guys are the ultimate duo over here.
I did for John kind of what you're doing now for other contractors.
Yeah.
And it's critical. It's critical. I do see there's some owners that I've met recently that are just really love the tech side. And I don't know, that might be at the detriment to other parts of the business, but they just love like setting up all the systems, and they're really embracing ProLine on their own. And we can hand them over amazing documentation and guides, and they can just run with it. But if you as the owner are not that kind of a person, you need somebody on the team who is. Like, you need someone there who you can call up and email, even if like fractional is amazing, because you don't necessarily need that person's full time. Like most companies don't, but you need someone that you can reach out to and be like, hey, like, I don't think this is working right. Like, what do I do? Right. And like, that's,
well, I saw a stat that it was like 70% of implementations for construction companies fail, which means they had changed management. So they spent a bunch of money on the software, right? They spent all the time and energy to get their team hyped up and try to implement it, mess up their day-to-day processes, and then have something fail, and then have to steer the ship to try to find the solution, whether it's going back to what they used to have, trying another one, and frustration as the team starts to grow, costs start to grow, right? And it's like, as an owner, like you said, if you do really love technology, right? I think there's very few percentage of contractors that actually do love this stuff and want to do it themselves, right? And really understand and are good at it. Even if they are, it's really difficult to manage running the company and handling all your responsibilities while doing this type of stuff, right? Because I remember when we started to ramp up at Peak Leads and we started to build out our sales process, right? So we really built out our CRM, all our phone systems, everything like that for making cold calls and outreach and all that kind of stuff. And man, I did that myself, and it was a lot to handle while trying to manage the team, putting out fires and whatnot. And it just felt like the days were so long. Right now, I enjoyed that stuff, so it really wasn't that bad for me. But man, it can really throw you off your groove and take you away from doing the things you need to do. Right. So, hey, this is a priority. Chances are you're most likely to hire me or somebody else, some kind of implementation partner, right? That has been there, done that, has a proven process, is going to hold your hand along the way and make sure you're successful with this. There's no reason to risk it going in alone. Like I said, if 70% are failing, let's be part of that 30%. Let's do this right, and get a huge competitive advantage. I think technology can be one of the biggest advantages, especially in construction specifically, right? Because you can think about how many are really out of date and how different you can really look if you're leveraging this stuff right.
Yep. I would say I would go even a step further. Even if you're good at it, you need to have a plan to phase yourself out of the CTO role. Like you just need to. You need, like, it doesn't make sense. All the reasons you just said is true, but especially I would say especially if you love it, like you need to definitely move yourself out of that. I find that very valuable with working with AJ over the years. And now I have Sam, who's amazing, and she's helping me with a lot of other technology stuff. And I've invested a lot of money in just paying for things to get done the right way. Yeah, could I do it? Sure. I don't love it. I'm not one of those guys who just love it, but I have the ability to do it. And it doesn't make sense for me to spend that time doing it. It makes way more sense to have somebody on your team. And I think of other partners and other customers and friends that we have in the industry who have that person, and that it's just such a good situation for them. Like
how many of your visions have AJ made happen, right? Where you've had an idea or a thought that you're like, hey, AJ, I want to do this, and he makes it happen.
Yeah, a lot of, and just also just having another person to bounce ideas off of, like whether you're just getting another set of eyes, another system person minded that's like, okay, this is going to work better if you do this. Like this is going to, not everything's perfect, but at least you have somebody else to talk to that understands your business better than most people. If they're really good at understanding the systems and processes, then they're, whether they know it or not, they're going to be extremely valuable for your business.
Shouts out, AJ. Well done.
Yeah. Then I got too excited about the automation piece, and then John lost me. I got eaten up by
automations though. Automations are cool though. Awesome.
Yeah.
Automations are important.
Yep. But it's yeah, no, absolutely 100%. And that was, I mean, that's where, kind of ProLine grew out of was there's probably a 2-year period, John, that like we would just like solve problems together.
You talk about the 10,000 hours. We'd spent 30,000 hours talking about.
So would it be like you had a problem in your roofing company and he'd try to make like an automation for it or something like that? Or like
that's one of the things. But like there's so many parts of the business that can make, again, going back to making your team happier. And my team loves our processes now. Like they do. There's always things to improve, but they love it. Like, especially when I talk about Cameron a lot, because Cameron worked with me before ProLine. And he's like, you just built everything you wanted to 5 years ago. That's exactly what AJ and I did. And then the customers love it too. So if we, again, thinking about your team and thinking about your customers takes a lot of effort and a lot of planning and a lot of executing of those plans. And there's no easy button there. That like you have to dream it up and execute the whatever the thing is.
Yeah, I think we've had a few people say this recently. It's like, oh, well, John, you just ended up building your own CRM, so maybe I need to go build my own CRM.
That's cute.
And
I know people that are trying to do that right now. I just talked to somebody, and big company, massive company, right?
Yeah.
And they have spent, I don't even know how much money and how much time, but they're about to throw it into the trash. Building out a software is no joke, right? So, and for me, I just don't know if there's really a reason to, right? So, if you're somebody who's in tech and that's kind of your thing and you're doing it for that, sure, maybe. But if you are just a contractor, I just don't understand why you would have to go build one if you can just customize another solution that's already built. In technology nowadays too, it's like, you know, I've worked with, all these different tech people, coders and stuff like that. They're way smarter than me. But I'll tell you one thing is sometimes the projects take way longer than me putting together a solution because
Yep.
with the tools you can use so many low code tools and all these different things that you can use, or you can use a pre-built system, all these different things where nowadays in technology, you don't have to be like that. You don't have to build everything from scratch. Use the resources that you already have, right? Because you're not a tech guy or a tech girl, right? You're a contractor. Use those tools that are proven, that are worked, that people have built with you in mind, or people like you in mind, and who are experts at this, right? Because this is no joke, right? We all know, like, think about it. Technology is just like contracting, right? With a big construction company, same thing with a big software project. It always takes way longer and always goes way, way over budget, right?
So much
So,
longer.
and that's just the way it is.
100%.
Yeah, and if you think you're going to build an app for $50,000 or $100,000, good luck with that. Like,
Yeah.
we're talking about in the millions of dollars if you want to build it out correctly. Like, this is not a
My
small
thing is like,
thing.
what's their end game with it? Are they trying to like become a CRM company, try to sell it, or do they think that's the best solution for their company? Because I've been hearing that. I'm not really sure what the end play is there, but I wouldn't suggest it. I wouldn't suggest it. That's a whole nother journey.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can get the same result quicker hiring someone like you, someone like all of our partners, like they can help you customize what you need to customize to like the
Mhm.
nth degree. Like, there's a huge need for what you do in the contracting space because you're exactly what you said. It's true. There are several good options for CRMs. Just customize them.
Mhm.
Spend way less money, get it done way faster, and truthfully have a better experience because the software, there's not just talking about bugs, but integration partners are already there. Like, there's so many things that is you're building a second business by building your own CRM. It makes so much more sense just to work with an existing one and customize it as much as you possibly can.
Absolutely. And when
Yeah.
you have a tool like you guys do that's so customizable, when I'm working with a contractor, right? My thing is that, all right, I want to hear all their vision. I want to hear all their pain points, right? All these great ideas that they have or they've had for a couple of years now, and they just have had no idea how to make it happen, right? And that's the stuff that I take away, and I'm like, we're gonna make that happen for you. Finally, all these pain points and all these great ideas you have, we are gonna make that vision a reality. Because with a customizable tool like you guys have, you can do that. You can do that. If you have the right person in your corner, you can make it happen, right?
Yep.
You can make it happen.
And set it up the way you want it.
Yep.
And yeah, and that was our vision with ProLine is this was not a tool that was built for Peach State Roofing or Dollar Roofing. It was a tool that was built for with John's vision in mind for a CRM platform, but it was intentionally made customizable where you don't have to utilize John's process for his business to use ProLine. ProLine can work with virtually any process because you can customize it to just about any process. But
Yeah,
it was
and I want to say it one more time real quick, and I know I'm sorry to cut you off, but
Oh,
I've
you're
been
good.
pounding this, but customization. So if you're hunting for a tool and it's not customizable, I've used tools like, I've been forced down. Some people when I first started going say, no, you're using this tool, right? And we tried House Call Pro, right? You can't even make a custom field, right? So now if there's certain data that you want to track, you can't even track that. So there's already heavy limitations right in the front that you're gonna have to think about and analyze how you're gonna overcome those challenges of not being able to create that customization. So that's number one, right? I mean, for me, I'm a software nerd. So if I'm going on a hunt and I have to find a new tool for some kind of client, man, I will download 20, 30, 40, free trials or whatever it is, or you get demos on them until I pick the one sometimes, right? And if it doesn't have customization, it's automatically already out. No matter how much I like it, it's already out.
That is exactly what this particular contractor was calling me about. He had a major brand that we all know about that doesn't play well with others in the roofing space.
Oh, I know what you're talking about, if I guess.
And I was like, so what's the pain point? Like, there's obviously pain points, but the exactly what you said is true. They couldn't customize anything. They couldn't integrate with what they wanted to integrate with. Like the
Yeah.
photo tool wasn't working right. I was like, this is all these things are the reasons why it's not a great system for most people, because you can't
Mm-hmm.
get what you need from this tool. And
Mm-hmm.
I totally agree. It needs to be customized to your business.
Yep.
Yep. Yep. And yeah, building out your own is not the only reason this worked with John and I is because John didn't pay me to build ProLine. When John started, giving me his vision for a CRM platform that was, highly customized and highly automated, lots of communication, I was like, that's a phenomenal idea. So like we just went into business as partners, and because I have a development and a tech background, I built the software on my own time, unpaid, because I saw the vision and I believed in it. Now, I mean, you might be able to find someone like me out there, but if you're having to pay a developer, it is not going to work. That
Mm-mm.
won't work.
No.
Yeah,
Aren't we
it's
crazy when you talk about that, where you're like, hey, on my free time, I'm building the CRM, not getting paid. Us crazy visionary
right.
entrepreneurs or people who want to create something, we're wild. But man, when it pays
Wow.
off, it's worth all of that time.
Yeah.
Worth it every time.
Well, it's tough because it's been like 7 years. So
Yeah.
and I don't know if you had told me that when I started whether or not I would have done it, but we're
Hey,
here
you're in
now.
tech.
So
You're in tech though. You probably had a general idea. Maybe not 7 years, but you
yeah.
probably had a general idea.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. So,
Mm-hmm. Well,
but
good for you
yeah,
guys. Proud of you guys.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. But yeah, the customizability, and so I love what you're doing with Better Boss.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you can steer contractors towards a tool that is customizable, whether that's ProLine or one of the other highly customizable ones that are out there, and then help them to build out what their vision is for their CRM platform and really their tech infrastructure. Um,
Exactly.
like
Yeah, because
it's a
that's
lot
the
more
thing is,
impactful.
I think we think of it as just like a CRM, right? So we think of organizing our leads. We think of organizing maybe some estimates or whatever it might be, but it's so much more of that. Like I said before, it's all these different departments, right? Sales and estimating, project management,
Yeah.
job costing, financials, customer experience, vendor and subcontractor management, right? Ideally, it gets to the point where your tech stack is operating the entirety of your operations, right? And internal communications all done on that platform. And so is external communication, right? So now instead of, you know, I see this all the time. People, they have Excel spreadsheet with all their formulas when they build out their estimate. Then they take that, they build a Word doc, and then they take the Word doc, they make it a PDF, and they upload a DocuSign, and then they, send it off, and then they take that and they have to upload it to a different system, and then but accounts receivables using a different system, and then they have to manually enter this twice for reporting, and then the owner spends all Monday taking all these spreadsheets and builds out a reports, boom, 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 right? So you can streamline all that, but you just have to understand it's just so much more than just your sales, right? It's really transforming the way you operate your company.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So after peak leads, you went off into the desert and
I lived on the computer, bro, to be honest with you, dude.
yeah.
I was doing because so with peak leads, you have to understand this. I was just like the CEO or whatever you call it, right? So I didn't really touch the technology myself. So I was in software. I started my career in software, or I guess Milwaukee Tool, but after that, I went and got into software. And I was just selling software. I was in sales, right? And then when I started peak leads, in the very beginning, for like in the first 6 months, I was like white labeling an agency that I found that was great. And then from there, we hired people who had the skill sets that we needed to provide these. And if it was a fire drill and I had to jump in, eventually I had the knowledge to be able to be a little dangerous, right? And help out as needed. But my background was in tech. I would always hire the people that were in tech, right? But I was just so intrigued by this problem. And I just knew that there was so much value there and so much opportunity to make a difference. So I was like, all right, well, it's crunch time. And that was really when like AI started, getting big in the news and stuff like that. So while everybody else was at their, 9 to 5 or working their jobs or running their companies or whatever, when that stuff was coming out, man, I would download like 150 AI tools in like a week because I had nothing else to do. You know what I mean? And so I was like,
Yeah,
I'm just gonna get
boy.
this down, right? And then I thought about getting out of the trades for a little bit, which I've been in the trades my whole everything I've done has been in the trades, whether I was selling tools, software, marketing, right? It doesn't matter. I was like, maybe it's time for change, right? Once you sell a company, your identity is kind of in that, right? You're always like that go-to person to help or blah blah blah, and so you lose your identity a little bit. So like maybe I should try something else. And so I went in. The first client I had was in the medical space. It was a medical center, and they had this ERP system that was way out of date. And man, and the thing with healthcare is they don't want anything to integrate because of patient data, right?
Yeah.
So here I am, just getting going, really don't have anything, right? I make up this proposal, send it out, and I'm staying up doing all nighters, building these custom integrations for these healthcare systems, and
Yeah.
it was wild. But once I got that done, I was like, well, I don't want to do that, right? And then my buddy hit me up, and he's in demolition, and he needed help. And so once I got my hands dirty a little bit again in like just like the contracting world, I was like, man, this is the world I'm supposed to be in. This is the world that I know. I know people in this. I have a network. I have a community. And it kind of is like a family, right? It's like shout out to all the roofers out there. I missed you guys. I hate to admit it, but I missed you guys. Y'all are crazy, but it becomes kind of that community, right? And so I was like, well, this is the community that I want to help. So got back in the game.
Yeah, I love that. So,
Mm.
are I looking on Better Boss? Are you looking to work with a broader set of different types of contractors, or are you still kind of gravitating towards roofing, or what's the mindset
Yeah, I'm,
there?
I'm, I'm, you know, I'm what I'm doing right now is I kind of niche it down. I think it was like demolition, roofing, home builders, custom home builders, remodelers, and I think there was one other one, right? And we'll kind of see where it goes, right? But now that I kind of have like a general understanding of how these different trades operate and whatnot, and you kind of get an idea that fundamentally, for the most part, these trades companies operate the same way, right? There might be some different variances and whatnot based off of the type of services. Some people might be more service based, where it's more clients, more work, lower ticket, right? And they might have different needs than someone who's going to be like a roofing contractor, who's going to be more used to that higher ticket type sale and whatnot. But for the most part, they do operate pretty similar. And right now, hey, I'm wearing all the hats. I got a couple of people helping me out, and that's basically it. So it's one of those things where just slowly growing it. But I feel like I've never been this good at something though, because I just got obsessed with it. You know what I mean? And that feels good because now I know I can definitely help out a lot of contractors out there.
I love that. I love that. I'm really interested to hear your perspective with how much digging you've done into AI. How do you see, because you're doing these implementations, are you finding
Yeah.
ways of implementing AI into the process for
So
contractors?
basically, what I'm doing is I'm building out a timeline, right? So we have a couple different membership packages, right? And what I have is I want to focus on the foundation first. Okay. So AI is sexy, AI is great, and AI can make a big impact. But if I go in and I start implementing all these different AI solutions for companies without them being foundationally sound, that's me being irresponsible, right?
Yeah.
So what I do is I have kind of a timeline where it's the first 12 months where it's kind of like those 5 pillars I was telling you before, right? All those different departments. And that includes the training, then refining, whatever it might be, if there's any kind of custom solutions they want to implement. But then after that timeline, that's when we kind of go into the next level, right? That's when I want to start using artificial intelligence, whether it's for client communication or if it's for like, I think training could be a great way to do it, because I hear all the time, hey, we struggle with training. People ask me way too many questions and it takes me too much of my time. Imagine just having a bot that's just, has all your SOPs and stuff like that. There's just so many creative ways to do it. For me, when I was really going through those rips and I was working on these projects like that medical center, I would have, because you only can send so many messages on some of these tools. I would have Claude, I would have two ChatGPT 4 accounts. I'd have another one. I'd burn that one out. Then I'd be running this one. I got like Cider AI. Have you ever heard of Cider AI? But it's a Google Chrome extension. Man, on that one, you literally can use all the top AI tools at the same time, right?
Oh,
And it
wow.
just connects to your web browser. So it reads your website, it does everything. And man, the amount of work you can get done when you get really good at it, right? And you actually have like a process and you learn how to ask prompts and how to really format it. Like, for example, we had a contractor that was trying to write a contract with it. And I don't suggest that. Okay. I would still, hire a lawyer, make sure you're doing this the right way. But they're like, yeah, it was just all fluff. It was no good. I think a big issue is you have to kind of chunk it, right? So you have to write something that's longer. What you want to do is you want to have it start out with an outline, right? Once you have your outline, then go one section at a time, right? And once you review and make sure to say, hey, don't go forward, do one at a time. Once we review it and confirm it, then you can do the remaining. Because then what's going to happen is once you like dial in that structure for that first section, it's going to repeat that for the other sections. And so I just call it chunking rather than trying to do it all at once. Otherwise, it's not going to do any good. It's not going to be quality.
Right. Yeah. If you can have it focus on one thing at a time, it's better. I also found like it's like trash in, trash out. Like if you're just putting in one sentence is like, hey, write me a contract for this, like you're gonna get something that's garbage. But if
100%.
I've found that you don't have to necessarily be super organized, but the more data you can give it on the front end, the higher quality the output. So I don't know if have you used the voice to text on ChatGPT?
I have. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that was new, to be honest, but I love it because like my
Yeah.
wife was saying something that was hurting her or something. No, it was her hair. She wouldn't know about her hair because we're going to Greece and humidity and stuff like that. So I just held it down the button and it's all right, talk to it, say what you're curious about, blah, blah, blah. And then boom, it's that quick. Right. So, but the thing is, it's not just in just like, generating, written content. When you're looking at marketing content, videos, you're looking at imagery, there's just so many different ways that you can use it. I mean, for my podcast now, I use that Opus clips, right? Where it's just, it chops up 30 clips for you, right? I mean, how long would that have taken you to do that beforehand, right? And so if you're not leverage, like, why wouldn't you leverage that stuff, right? I mean, if you could save X amount of hours every single week for $50, absolutely, absolutely.
100%. This is something that we're kind of struggling with a little bit because we see so many opportunities to build AI into ProLine, whether it be around the automation of the communication, or having like an internal bot where you can talk to it and have it interact with the app. There's all these things that we could pursue, but it's like you're saying, what we're seeing is that most of our users are struggling with the foundational pieces. Like they just need to be able to have a better system for scheduling their jobs, or they just need a better system for sending invoices. And that's not an AI problem. That's just a fundamental like thing. And so we're back and forth on it, but I think in the short run, we've just decided we got to focus on helping and like dialing in these more foundational feature sets to help contractors implement them more easily. And
I think that's the right call. I think that's the right call. It's one of those things where you keep it on the maybe list for the future and see kind of how it pans out. But I just don't think, like, I wonder what percentage of contractors even know how to utilize AI yet. Right. And so it's like maybe focus on the foundation and in the long run, you guys will figure out a solution there. But, it's kind of like what we talked about with the roofing contractors trying to make a CRM. If I had more time and I'd be start making an AI tool for construction for sure. There's no doubt, but it'd be another second company. I just don't have that time, but that would be fun. That would be fun for sure.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's definitely some cool stuff there for sure. Well, let me ask this. So, we're going to have people listening where, if someone's they're feeling overwhelmed, it's fire drill every day, like you're saying, what's the first place to look? What's step one? Well, we could say step one is contact Better Boss, right?
Yeah, right.
But is there something right away that you say, like, they just sit down and do X? This will get you pointed in the right direction.
I would say usually the owner doesn't have necessarily the best insights on how the different departments are currently running, because sometimes, when they pull themselves out of that position, they haven't done those types of tasks for quite some time. And then whoever's leading those departments and their team is usually the people that really understands how accounts receivable, sales, accounts payable, all these different departments actually work. So for me, it's either, hey, the owner or whoever's in charge of taking this on is sit down with all those key people, right? And do just like I do, where I do that discovery session with them, right? And see what they like and what pain points that they're having, right? And get their feedback. Because then right from the bat, you're getting them to be part of this change, because everybody hates change. Change is stress and it pisses people off. I've been doing this for 20 years. Wow. I had one girl, she was on QuickBooks Desktop and she just would not switch down line no matter what I did, right? Eventually we switched her over. But she, you got to get them involved and you have to make them feel heard. And what I would do is make a list of all the problems and things that they want, right, to change. And then that's going to be the features that you look for when you're going and you're shopping for the proper software for you, right? So rather than just thinking, hey, these are the features, or oh, this feature is cool, take that list, right, and use that as the tool or guide to get you the right software. And then from there, it's once you have it, you got to put a plan together, right? You can't just say, hey, all right, let's just do it, right? You have to have a legitimate plan together. When I build out these implementations, I sit down and I usually build out a project plan. It's got 7 or 8 different phases, right? And then each one of those has, tons of tasks and subtasks underneath it, where it's like 350 or 400 tasks sometimes, right? So that breaks it down where it's like, these are all the steps I need to do to get to where I need to go. And then set a deadline. Have a deadline. How many half set up CRMs and different softwares do you think there are? And it's actually, oh, we just haven't set that one up yet. Well, then what are they doing? Oh, well, they're using the old tool or whatever it might be. Yeah. Most of the stuff that's out there right now is probably half set up. They probably never even finished it. Yeah. And they're just dealing with it and just said that's fine.
Yep. Yeah, it's something that we see, and it's one of those things. It's like that meme. It's like where the guy's trying to sell them a round wheel, and it's like, no, too busy, and they got the square wheels. It's like that, especially this time of year where we're bringing on users and they're half setting it up and they're like, oh, too busy to do more. And I'm like we're here, we'll guide you, we'll help you.
I was thinking about that though too, because with me, obviously this is my business, right? So I'm like, I wonder what business is gonna be like during the summertime, during busy season, stuff like that. I think that's the perfect time to do it, to be honest, because the reason why is, at least for me and my approaches, is I say, okay, I'm gonna build this thing out completely, right? We're gonna do this entire process. I want you just to stick with what you got going right now. Because what happens is when I get done with setting up the sales stuff or the estimating or whatever, budget cap, whatever it might be, people are, okay, let's just have the sales team. But then as soon as the sales team goes on it, right, and they do their thing, they're like, oh, hey, accounts receivable has to do their invoicing now. I'm like, well, that's not, I haven't set up all this stuff yet for accounts receivable. Yeah. Right. So now I'm going based off of where their fire is and where they want to start using that. So I just say, let's just make this thing perfect. And then we'll just slide her right in. Right. Because if you get issues, with when you're implementing the new system and trying to get that adoption, people, they just get sick and tired of it right away. And then they're not bought in. And then there's kind of a pain when it comes to trying to get this new software in, and they're just creating friction. You want them to be going with the flow with you and being excited about that journey and how it can make their job easier, how they can be more successful, how they can do less work, right? How they can get some of their stuff automated, how they can make more money and stuff like that.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. No, the buy-in is so important. The buy-in is so important. And it's highly dependent on like you're saying, on like having it go as smoothly as possible and not having the half setup is not it. It's
not it.
Well, this has been super fun. Let's kind of start to wrap up here. We usually will wrap up with a question, and that question is just, what are you looking forward to the most this week?
This week, what am I looking forward to this week? Man, I would say personally for me, we're working on kind of getting the Better Boss sales, because we got a couple new sales guys now, and so I've been building out the processes, building out the sales demos, building out my leads list, building out my outreach plan, my CRM and stuff like that. And I like that stuff. So
Yeah.
I'm doing it for everybody else. And now I'm starting to get to organize my stuff. In the beginning, you don't really have a whole lot of process and you're running gun. And now we're putting that all together. So I like processes and I like tech. So that's what I'm putting together this week. So that's been exciting. But I just got back from Greece, man, last week for my honeymoon. So
Oh,
that would
congrats.
have been my more exciting one, I would say, for sure. But we had 10 days in Greece. We hit it up Athens, Mykonos, and Santorini, man. And startup life, you're basically working nonstop in the beginning. So that was my life. So to unplug completely and eat good food, drink, and see great views for 10 days, that's living, man.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah. Congratulations on that.
Yeah, thank you so much. I got married too while I was gone. I went on my sabbatical.
During your sabbatical. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. I saw that. Was that in October?
Yeah, dang. Yeah, man. You're good.
I
You're
saw
good.
on your
October
Facebook.
7th.
I was
Yeah,
getting
you're
caught. I was
good.
getting caught up. Yeah.
That's what's up.
There you go. Oh, cool. Um,
I
John.
appreciate you, gents.
Oh yeah, absolutely. John, what are you looking forward to the most this week?
Oh, I just like it's been raining, so we have a lot of roof leaks and a lot of estimates going. And then I'm also going to my whole family's driving up to visit my mom in North Georgia next week, so looking forward to that.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
What about you? What about you, AJ? What you got cooking?
What I got cooking, I got so much, but we are doing a video shoot day with one of our ProLine users here in Atlanta, Hero Roofing. And so we're
Nice.
doing a video shoot day on one of their job sites. Hopefully the weather cooperates. But
That'd be sweet.
it'll be fun. We're all about creating content. So we're excited.
I've noticed that on your guys' YouTube page. I subscribed this week on it. I checked out. You guys had a ton of videos.
I appreciate that. Yeah, we really just since November. Yeah, before November we were doing very little, and then November 1st we brought on James, who's our head of sales and marketing, and he's leading the charge on all the content creation.
A lot of content. So he's killing it.
Yeah, he uses Opus. Yeah, we use Opus as well. So.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah, that's good stuff. So. All right. Well, yeah, thank you so much. We will wrap up there. Thanks for joining us today, everyone. We'll see you next week.